Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. I am the CHALL. I am joined by Owen, and we are here for the very first WWE podcast of the year here on the Chall Chats podcast. Of course, the Chall Chats podcast has numerous interviews throughout the year, but we're also going to be launching several series shows as well. And this is one of them, the WWE Show. In today's show, we're going to review the Raw Rumble, review Raw, review NXT, and preview Smackdown and the next pay-per-view coming up, NXT Vengeance Day. Owen, welcome to the channel and welcome to this very special new show. How are we doing?
Yeah, I'm brilliant, thanks. And I'm so excited because I've been a fan of Derby and wrestling as a whole for invested definitely since sort of 2018. I'm 17 myself, so to start doing a bit more stuff like this and talking about something that I love, especially as people who might have seen me in the Look Sport Media podcast about football, but won't know that I'm a massive wrestling fan. And excited to finally come out and talk a lot about this because I always talk about this with my mates and especially my twin brother. So to talk this on a larger whole will be brilliant.
Yeah, 110%. Let's not waste any time then. Let's get straight into this and start off with the Royal Rumble this year. Obviously, a lot of hype around this event this year with potential returns, potential debuts, quite a lot potentially going on. And one of the things that I sort of loved from the second we started that show was the Women's Royal Rumble. 100,000,000% that match was the match of the night. I mean, we're sort of going to walk through it, not step by step, but just by moment. Natalya and Naomi as the starting two. I mean, Naomi's eventual return to WWE confirmed. First of all, what was your reaction when we heard "Feel the Glow" again?
Yeah, so like I say, I watched these shows with my brother, right? And obviously we're both from the UK, so it would have been 1 a.m., just after 1 a.m. So I had to sort of celebrate very quietly but enthusiastically. But for someone like me, who I've obviously gone through the history, right, and heard with some of the stuff she did previously, and she deserved a massive return at this. And I saw some of that stuff in TNA or Impact as it was before. And yeah, like I said, we'll talk a bit more about TNA considering what happened a few entrants later. But yeah, brilliant. I love Naomi, and I think this could really prepare her to sort of go be a bigger star. Because like I say, I love her. She's been brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's sort of go through like a few of the, I guess, moments, should we say, the best moments of that match. I mean, obviously, following the number two, obviously, Bayley coming in at number three. We'll talk more about Bayley after that. But then we look at entrance number 5. And my God, the juggernaut, Jordynne Grace, the TNA Knockouts champion, enters the Rumble. And we know about the Royal Rumble, it's full of surprises. But Jordynne Grace, I loved this entry. I loved this surprise. It must be part of some kind of deal with TNA. It must be something to do with the Naomi deal, perhaps. I mean, Jordynne Grace, we know Jordynne Grace. She's the juggernaut. She's Big Mama Pump. She's got the strength. She's got the agility. She's got the power. She's one of the powerhouses of TNA's Knockouts division. I mean, and by the way, it feels so good to say TNA again, not Impact Wrestling. Wow. I mean, Jordynne Grace. I mean, she did pretty well in that Rumble as well, by the way. She did fantastic. I mean, she lasted, nearly 20 minutes in that match? She didn't get any eliminations, but she had been eliminated through an impressive KOD by the EST. I mean, what a good start for Jordynne Grace. And do you think this won't be the last time we see of her surely in the WWE ring?
Oh, 100%. This will not be the last time. Jordynne Grace is like you say, a juggernaut. She's a powerhouse. Like, I watched her coming up through TNA and her transformation from sort of being in the mid card to then being a massive star. Her matches with Deonna Purrazzo, Mickie James, and yeah, just to see her come to WWE and have some of those dream matches that I've seen, like dream interpromotional matches, such as Bianca Belair. Even workhorse people, I think people like Candice LeRae, who, if you weren't there throughout this podcast, I'm a massive The Way and Johnny Gargano and all that fan. So you'll hear a lot of me fanboying and fangirling about those guys because I'm mental. But to see her like go toe to toe with these massive superstars and to see what's going to happen, hopefully more promotion with TNA. Maybe even see her at maybe WrestleMania. You never know. 'Cause she did put an Instagram and a tweet out saying that this won't be the last you hear of TNA in Derby. So maybe even in a promotional, maybe even a Worlds Collide event, which I would eat that up because that'd be insane, especially with people like, not just the women's division, knockout division and the women's division Derby are two of the strongest in the whole wrestling sphere. So
Yeah.
even if it's a women's special of Worlds Collide knockouts versus women superstars in Derby, I'd watch that forever.
Oh,
So
that's going to be a fantastic event.
yeah, if they ever did that, which I think, considering Derby's like global reach now, and considering they're more willing to work with companies, you've seen with obviously this thing with TNA, even AGPW with Charlie Dempsey obviously challenging for their world title in just the start of this year. And there's always been rumors about other relationships they're looking to bring. So if we could see that happen, and a good relationship with TNA would really be a massive help. And for us as fans, right, we'd love to see that happen, because that's two massive companies working with each other and will create mega matches. Look at people like Moose. I would love to see him face like Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Randy Orton, people like that. And like, he would do so well with the Derby crowd. Imagine him versus Trick Williams. One saying whoop that Trick, the other one saying moose, moose, moose. It'd be insane.
Oh my god, Moose versus Whoop That Trick. I mean, that's just going to be insane.
Yeah.
I do want to highlight, before we get into, in my opinion, one of the funniest moments of the night. I want to highlight someone who was very underrated in that Royal Rumble. She got one elimination. She lasted about 12 and a half minutes. Piper Niven. I think she was very underrated in that Royal Rumble, and I went back over some of the reactions from people during the Rumble from the States, and I was seeing the reaction towards Piper Niven's performances, and I thought she was fantastic. Yes, she got eliminated by Nia Jax, who not a lot of people like in the ring, but I tell you something now, Piper Niven was very, very much the underrated performer in that Women's Rumble.
Yeah, like I said, I love Piper Niven. Not just me being half Scottish, but to see her, like I said, I watched her when she was Viper in World of Sport in like 2019, right? That was my first.
I remember when she did that TNA British boot camp years ago as Viper, and I remember her first promo when she was cutting it in front of Gail Kim, Al Snow, and Samoa Joe, who's now the AEW World Champion, and she just killed it. She was brilliant in that ring, and she did all the in-ring stuff in the Scottish sort of audition for the British boot camp amazingly, and she was one of the stars for me, 100%.
Yeah, like I say, WOS, it was her and like B Priestley, Kaylee Ray, obviously now all in Derby and doing brilliantly, or now Alba Fire, sorry. But to see them now all being in the Derby, obviously B Priestley doing really well in NXT, and I really love her character there. Alba Fire doing some really good character work. I think her and Isla Dorsey on her the Union's brilliant. And yeah, to see loads of us British sort of an invasion of Derby, if you say, like people like Drew McIntyre, who we'll talk about a bit later, and people like that. Nick Aldis, if you don't know, obviously British, and funny enough, he was on the Sky revival of Gladiator, if you didn't know. That's a bit of a fun fact. There was actually two who have been in Derby, the other one being Mason Ryan. I know that is a bit of a weird fact, but it's a fun fact for everyone. But yeah, to just see, like, say, go a bit off topic there, but Piper Niven, I loved, and I think her and Chelsea Green have been a joy to watch. Also, thanks, Samantha Irving, for bringing back the Chelsea Green thing again. Yeah, I've missed that for months. Thank you for bringing it back. But yeah, to see her like just doing so well, and I can't wait for her to go on a bit of a singles run. I think she has potential to be that female powerhouse of the women's division. I'd love to see her win a world title at some point.
Yeah, Piper deserves it, and Chelsea as well. Chelsea Green is in need of a massive, massive year this year. If Chelsea Green's watching this, or I might clip this bit up and put it on Twitter. Chelsea Green, you are a legend. You're a superstar, and we both absolutely rate you and what Piper are doing at the minute. And this year's going to be your year. I am confident of that. Right, funniest moment. One of the funniest moments of the night so far, and it only just started. Valhalla returns with the antlers. She walks out with this menacing stare, and then you suddenly hear, "What's up?" R-Truth got the wrong damn Rumble. And the funniest thing was, right, the night before on SmackDown, I think it was, when they did all the numbers in that, they made the joke of like him drawing the numbers and the way he was turning it. And as it went on, I could see Nick holding his laughter for his life.
Yeah.
And he turns this round, he gets the number out, and he's saying, "Do I have to quarantine?"
Yeah.
And it's like, we're all thinking, he's got 19. He's got 19. And he's thinking, surely they can't make R-Truth role even better in this Rumble this year. Oh, hell yes, they can. They bring him out in the wrong Rumble as well as the right one. I swear to God, it was genius. And we just want to talk about R-Truth a second here, because R-Truth, and I said this on Twitter, and I stand by this, and I respect the performers that were there through the generations, through the golden era, through the attitude era, through ruthless aggression, that did the comedy stuff. But in my personal opinion, R-Truth is arguably the most comedic entertainer in WWE history and one of the funniest superstars in WWE history. Up there with the greats, up there with the most wackiest superstars we've ever seen in WWE through any era. Yeah. And R-Truth is up there amongst the greats in terms of entertaining. He's done the drama stuff. He can do the comedy stuff. We all know that. R-Truth just feels like a complete package. Should R-Truth get this massive push this year in 2024? Because I think he deserves it.
Yeah. I think, like you say, I love R-Truth. I think, like you say, like what, 2012 was probably his biggest push, 2011-12, when he had that thing with the Awesome Truth. Obviously, they bring it back at the moment with The Miz. But, like, you know, when he had that, no one's remember this. He was part of that tag team that faced The Rock and John Cena at Survivor Series. And he faced John Cena for the world title in, 2011? So, one-on-one. So for him, R-Truth deserves the love. I think one more title run before he retires, maybe a tag title run with the Awesome Truth. I have a feeling they're going to build to that at WrestleMania. I think that will be the tag match. Sad for me, because I'm again, Johnny Gargano. I wish DIY won the titles. We'll talk about that again on Raw. But I think I'm really, really excited to see what R-Truth can do. And yeah, one of the best in the business. And considering you look at some of the brilliant comedic acts, not going to say anything to do with what happened in the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression Era, but
yeah,
they had swear words to play with. They had other stuff to play with. They had a bit more freedom. R-Truth's a bit more restricted of what he can do, what he can show, that sort of thing. And some of the stuff he's done brilliantly. I loved, like you say, on Raw when he says, like to Damian Priest, like, "Oh, you're like an older brother to me," when R-Truth's like 2 or 3 years older than him, and then like. And then the old John Cena thing, even though he's older than John Cena. I freaking love R-Truth. And shout out to Michael Cole as well, because that antler thing is brilliant. I feel like it got confirmed that obviously him and Pat McAfee are going to be a duo again, which is going to be so funny, because I think Michael Cole is since Vince has gone and since sort of 2022 when Triple H took the realm, Michael Cole's been so much better, even before then, because he has that freedom of Pat McAfee now.
Yeah.
Where he can be a bit more freedom. Like, I used to hate Michael Cole.
Really?
Like, especially in, like, because I always find him a bit boring. But since now, I love him. He's one of the best in the business. And I found that respect for him. Because, yeah. I was probably a little kid when I hated him. That's probably because of the heel turn. When I've gone through and watched wrestling. When I've been a bit older, but yeah, once you get older, you get more respect for these sort of people, and yeah, I'm quite excited on Friday night to see what Corey Graves will do as a play-by-play, someone who does the commentary with him and Wade Barrett.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what SmackDown's gonna be like with a different commentary team, and we'll obviously preview SmackDown near the end of the podcast. Right then, I guess the sort of final thing to talk about going into the end of this Rumble then is obviously, I mean, first of all, the last 4 entrants, then secondly, the winner of the Rumble. So I'll start off with the last 4. I mean, Roxanne Perez from NXT, bright young prospect, trained by Booker T. I mean, in respect to Booker T, this is my shucky ducky, quack, quack, moment of the Rumble. Shout out Booker T there. Yeah, Roxanne appearing in this Rumble was a shucky ducky quack quack moment. This was a moment. I mean, she's a bright young prospect. She's got so much more potential than some people think. And then the Storm has arrived. Jade Cargill, my God. I mean, we'll talk about the stare off with Bianca Belair in that Rumble as well. Then we have Tiffany Stratton, the center of the universe. In my opinion, one of the brightest prospects out of NXT in a long, long time. And then finally, number 30. Now, everyone was rumoring a lot of things. People said AJ Lee coming back. People said Sasha Banks coming back. However, we got the return of someone just as good, in my opinion, Liv freaking Morgan. I mean, what a return for that woman who's just, I mean, she didn't win it, but I seriously hope, and this is my personal hope for WrestleMania this year, Bayley versus Io Sky, Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan. Those should be, in my opinion, the two title matches this year. Other people will get their chance, but I think that should be it this year. But looking on those four, and then when you look at the winner being obviously Bayley, as we said, I mean, what an end to that Rumble. And that's not even including the stare-off between Cargill and Belair as well.
Yeah, you're sort of building a lot of WrestleMania feuds, right? There's going to be, I would say, 6 matches on both Mania cards, hopefully. And I want to see 2 matches, each women on the card. I want to see. I think we'll continue with the showcase matches. Maybe this time do a singles one, for a 4-way, maybe 5-way. Put a little bit of oomph into it, and maybe say these showcase matches are number 1 contender for Backlash. For their prospective women's titles. I think if we can see a sort of singles match, I would love to. I think Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill. I don't know if it's a bit too early to do that, but I think Cargill should be in a match at WrestleMania. I don't know how you would do it. I think Tiffany, she doesn't need any more time in NXT. I think she is good to go. I think she's one of the best in the business. I can see Roxanne coming up soon. I think Vengeance Day, which we will talk about, I think will probably be one of her last, if not maybe her last appearance in NXT. I just don't think she needs that sort of fresh stuff. Tiffany and Roxanne, they're 21, 22, 23. They're very young. They should be up pretty soon. I can imagine Tiffany probably going to Raw. Just considering because of Ludwig, because obviously they're dating. I don't think they like, obviously, mixing couples, different brands. Roxanne, I could see go either way. Maybe even help her with Bayley, because I know they've had a bit of history, so I can see them maybe going there. Maybe. I know this is a shock one, right? And I don't know if they would do it. I know in NXT, I know with Bayley, obviously it'd be 3-on-3 if Dakota Kai isn't fit, if she isn't raring to go yet. I know her sort of knee brace is off, so hopefully means she's back soon. This would be a wild card. I would bring her back to NXT very quickly. What about signing Izzy Moreno?
Oh, now obviously for people who don't know, this was the mega fan of Bayley, and she's starting to kill it in the independents at the moment. Just starting out in the first few matches, and she's starting to kill it at the moment from what I've seen. So whether it's too soon or whatever, I you know what I think in the next year or so, hopefully anyway, I think maybe in the next year or so, depending what happens, I think that could actually be a very smart piece of business for WWE. If they can pick up Izzy Moreno, that could be very smart business.
Yeah, and you can build her entire story first off. She'll probably go to NXT first, because I think she would obviously need a bit of preparation for it. But to have that first feud be with Bayley, or be a tag team with Bayley and just to turn heel, maybe, it's just a brilliant idea, and I would love to see it happen. But like I say, I think there's a few people in NXT that could help. I would have maybe gone for Cora, but unfortunately with her ACL injury, she'll be out for 9 months.
And I think that brings it on nicely, because I think in my personal opinion, if Charlotte unfortunately didn't get injured, I think we were probably looking here at Damage Control versus the 4 Horsewomen. I think we were potentially looking at that. I think we were potentially looking here at Dakota, Kyrie, and
Mm.
Asuka versus Charlotte, Becky, and a potential returning Sasha Banks. And then you have Bayley and Io Sky as your title match. So it's like a two-part. So you put one on one night, one on the other night. I think that could have been the direction they could have gone with, in my personal opinion. Anyway, we don't know if it's confirmed or denied yet, but I think that's the direction they probably should have gone with. But obviously, Charlotte's unfortunately injured for a long time now.
But no, but seeing her footage at the moment, sorry, I was just saying, seeing her footage at the moment, she might John Cena it be back by like Backlash. Like, you see, like she's already in the gym, she's already looking pretty good. Like, she's not gonna be, she's not gonna be gone for long. I could see her being back earlier than people think. I think she's like I say, she's doing really well. She's probably got that Cena. Look, you know when Cena was at Toys Pack or something, and he's back in about like 6 months, was it, or even 4? It was something like that, wasn't it? 'Cause it was, I think he tore it at No Mercy, didn't he? And then he's back by Rumble. So but I think, like you say, I think what it looks like is Becky's probably going to be up against. I think they're looking like they're going to do Lynch versus Ripley. I'd rather go Liv Morgan, but I think they'll probably be doing an Elimination Chamber match. I think
maybe Morgan versus Ripley at next year's Mania, maybe.
Yeah, I think I would love to see Morgan go on a bit of a run. Yeah, I want to see her, like, because you can build it with her sort of. If people don't know this, Morgan has been in the final 2 in the last 2 Rumbles. So to see her maybe finally get over the line couldn't end up being a very good story.
I'll make another prediction for next year's Rumble. If WWE is smart, which I think they are, I think Liv Morgan will be in the final 2 in next year's Royal Rumble, and she will probably win this one. If she doesn't get injured, if something doesn't happen in terms of like massive bombshells or anything like that, I think Liv Morgan will probably win next year's Royal Rumble. And that's, in the words of Paul Heyman, that is not a prediction. That is a spoiler.
Yeah, and I think I'd love to see her win it, and see people also, like you say, Jay Cargill, Tiffany, to see like there was not any legends in that Rumble, and usually there's an over-reliance to that in the Women's Rumble. To see them just using NXT, using new stars, using future stars in NXT, to see that happen now, it shows how stacked the women's roster is, and shows how far WWE and women's wrestling as a whole has gotten. You've seen that, like I say, in TNA, their knockouts division has, on a whole, it's main evented decent amount of shows now in TNA as a whole. And you look at things like ROH, that's been a couple of times where that's main evented, because I know it's a bit of a WWE show, but I do love to talk about ROH, and especially Athena and Billy Starks. I think them two are incredible. I would love to see them be in a bit of a bigger stage than ROH. Obviously, that might be AEW. Should be AEW, in my opinion. But
could you see Athena return to WWE maybe as Ember Moon?
I don't think so. I think she's doing really well in unless there's some issue with her not being able to go on into TV. I can see Billy Starks doing it, because she's 19. She's going to get it at some point.
How is she 19 years old? She's like one of the brightest stars in the independent scene. She's 19.
Yeah.
She's so young, and yet she's got this wave of potential on the independent scene that reaches superstar status. Billy Starks could generally make it in either WWE or AEW or TNA. And I generally put, and especially with the change to TNA again, with everything going on at the top with Scott D'Amore and the talent they're bringing in at the minute, I put TNA alongside AEW and WWE. AEW, TNA, WWE are the 3 biggest promotions, in my opinion, in the United States. Fact.
Yeah, and then you can always make it a New Japan, like NGPW. If you don't know, this is a New Japan shirt.
Yeah, tell everyone what team the shirt is from.
So it says it's Keep Calm and Stay Tranquilo, which is what Tatsuya Naito says, who's at the moment the current IWGP World Heavyweight Champion in New Japan, and his faction Las Ungombles de Japón is a faction he's in, and it's brilliant. And I do say to anyone here who's watching it at the moment and doesn't watch wrestling outside of America, check New Japan, check Rev Pro even. I'm a
Yeah.
big supporter of the British independent scene. Um, I'm trying to go to shows now. Like there's some in my local area that look brilliant. Rev Pro do shows up to Sheffield if ever gonna make a Rev Pro show. I know they're doing a show. They're definitely gonna hopefully be doing a show weekend of All In. If you are going to All In, check when they have that show. They'll have some brilliant talent, including from New Japan. Last year they had Will Ospreay, Shingo Takagi. They had Gabriel Kidd, who's one of the best in New Japan at the moment. I love that guy. Um, People also like Tomorrow Ishii. In the previously, Rev Pro have had Okada. They've had AJ Styles. They've had
Shout out to Lord Gideon Gray as well. Lord Gideon Gray is
Yeah,
one of the most underrated on that show. I used to watch years ago. I used to watch like because they used to do like episodes of Revolution Pro Wrestling on Rev Pro on YouTube. I don't know if they're still doing that or anything like that, but they did like episodes of their shows, and part of the episodes was like a promo or like a camera promo behind the scenes or a match involving Lord Gideon Gray. And I loved that character. I
yeah.
loved that character and what he did. So, like for me, he was killing it in that character on the British independent scene.
Yeah, and like I say, New Japan and Rev Pro are like your top talents. And yeah, right. If you're in the UK or even if you're in the US, go to your local indie.
Mm,
They need they need your support, especially now with the cost of living crisis. They need your support. I know it's tough sometimes to get a ticket, but I know people would love to go see WWE. Like myself, I would love to go to a WWE show, and I'm lucky enough that I will be going to All In next year or this year, sorry, in August. Um, but I'm also lucky enough that I get to go to Rev Pro shows. I'll be hopefully going to my Rev Pro shows in my area, which is brilliant because if you support your local indie, you can see the new top talents, and you might be able to go in 5, 6 years time that they're on Raw, they're on Smackdown, they're on Dynamite, they're on Impact, and go, I saw this guy when he was 6 years ago wrestling in my local indie. I used to. This is a fun story. I watched. This was been just before COVID.
yeah.
There was this company that still represents in the UK called New Generation Wrestling.
Mm,
NGW, and they did some shows at Butlins, and they came and did shows at Butlins, and I went to watch these shows twice, and they were brilliant. I used to like this is Gabriel Kidd was on that show, right? Loved him. Robbie X, who's part of the Rev Pro cruiserweight scene. So I've seen people who like wrestled in NXT UK, WOS, people like that, which is brilliant. Like to see, look, and I was up front. I was in the front row. I was able to touch the title. I was able to meet these people and to see them now wrestle in NXT UK when it was a thing. Dynamite, like people like that, is brilliant. And like I say, I know I wouldn't be off topic there, but support your local indie.
no, it's all right, mate. Literally, we're talking wrestling, so we can talk about anything really.
Yeah,
Right then, we've had the women's rumble. Now, what about? I mean, there's only one place to start with the men's rumble. I mean,
yeah,
entrant 1 and entrant 2 is a WrestleMania match in the making.
yeah,
Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso. I mean, we've seen the Uso split since the turn at SummerSlam. In the tribal combat, Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns, who's still champion. Before Paul Heyman gets angry at this podcast, acknowledge the champion. I mean, we've seen this coming since SummerSlam. I mean, either a main event in one of the nights or at least being a match in one of the
yeah,
nights. Surely we are getting Uso War. We are getting
yeah,
an Uso. We are getting War of the Usos.
yeah,
If that's even a sentence, I might have just put something out now that's going to end up trending now. War of the
yeah.
Usos. Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso. I mean, surely it's going to happen now at WrestleMania.
Oh, and I cut out, and it's going to be a match. I'd love to see maybe even be tribal combat, no DQ. I think to see it happen. I think if I was dreaming, I would say put Rikishi as special guest referee. I don't think they'll do that. I think it'll just be hard for Rikishi to. I'd love to see him be there though. I'd love to see him do like
Oh
in
yeah.
before, something to do with Rikishi. I would love to see. But yeah, I can't wait for it. It's going to be a great match, and I was surprised because when they came to September, right, and it came out, and I looked like it was going that way. I was like, how are they going to stretch this out? The Mania, right? They did the complete right thing. They moved Jay to Raw. They did his stuff with the Judgment Day, and they had those little seeds with when he came on to SmackDown, and obviously when he had the tag titles and that little face-off they did with Cody and the Bloodline, and then again where the Rumble and it will explode, and I can see it happening soon.
And Jay had those little moments as well with Drew McIntyre. Obviously, we know
Yeah.
about War Games, best in the world.
Yeah.
By the way, I just popped at that moment. Bearing in mind it's 4:00 in the morning and everyone's asleep, I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, clocking that it was 4 a.m. in the morning. I had work at 7. I'd work at 9, and yeah, I still loved it. So it was brilliant.
I wasn't expecting it either. Literally, the reports I heard for about a week or so was it wasn't happening, and I was like, okay, I weren't too confident of it happening anyway. I was just more under the impression of if it happens, it happens, and it damn well happened. So Rollins weren't too happy about it from the looks of it, but no, I was under the impression of if it happens, it happens. But no, like you said, like Jay's been planting these seeds with the Judgment Day, with McIntyre, and now it looks like they're leading towards Jay Jimmy at WrestleMania. I mean, Jay's. I mean, no disrespect to Jimmy Uso, but Jay's my boy.
Jay for me is brilliant, and I think
Jay's my Usi. Jay's my Usi.
To get a Yeet chant trending, to get Yeet merch, and then Jimmy to also use it. No Yeet. I love it.
And then you get the Yeet blurred out as well.
Yeah, they had to blur it, didn't they? Mate, it was the funniest thing I've ever seen, and I loved it, right? And this is why I love wrestling. I love wrestling so much that we can get the stupidest stuff working. It's the funniest thing ever. I love now that every time he instead of the yay no, now it's yeet no. We'll see that at Mania.
Oh man. I guess the next big moment, the return of El Idolo. Andrade is back in WWE after the expiry of his contract at AEW. I mean, with Charlotte still at WWE, with the rumors for months about Andrade coming back, I mean, it was surely coming at this Rumble. It was one of the, I guess, nailed on returns to potentially happen.
Yeah, and like I can't like sort of. It's a brilliant return. Andrade, mate, again, Johnny Gargano fanboy. His match with Gargano at Takeover, and then that NXT when he forced Gargano to leave NXT for the time for a time. There's a match in there that I cannot wait to see. I can't wait to see that rematch because that's going to happen at some point. Because I could see, that's what I mean. The 6-match card of Triple H was a takeover thing. It's going to be a takeover thing. It's continuing here in Derby, and now he's going to be on Raw. That was confirmed. He signed a deal.
I was a bit surprised about that, you know.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you. I was expecting him to be on SmackDown and be involved in the LOW situation with Santos Escobar, whether that's part of Escobar, Garza, and Carrillo, or be a part of the LWO with Wild, with Del Toro, with Mysterio, with Vega. I was expecting that, but I'm very intrigued now as to what direction they're going to go with Andrade and Monday Night Raw. Who's he going to? And the questions now pop up when we have these like returns and debuts, etc. Who they're going to feud with,
where they fit,
how are they going to be involved with Mania? Because we know the United States title's over on SmackDown. Is he going to go for Gunther's Intercontinental Championship? Is it going to be I mean, with CM Punk injured and out for WrestleMania, what's going to happen to the World Heavyweight Championship?
Yeah.
Because Rollins could be back just before WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Are we going to see Rollins versus Gunter? Is it going to be a case
Yeah.
of Gunter lose the title Elimination Chamber potentially? I'm not
He can't.
disrespecting Gunter
Yeah.
because he's the best Intercontinental Champion of history. Respect to
Yeah.
Gunter and Imperium, but what's going to happen at Elimination Chamber? Is Andrade going to play a part in that?
The only problem with this, which I'm a bit sad about, is that I don't think Gunther can make Elimination Chamber. I think he has to stay in the US for the time being just due to visa issues, so I don't think he can make it. Which does leave Elimination Chamber a bit murky to do with how do you fill that card. There's not going to be many title matches. I can imagine the Women's World title being defended, and I can imagine the tag titles maybe defended. Maybe do a rematch with DIY. We'll talk again about that a bit later.
Logan Paul, Kevin Owens rematch as well.
Yeah, but again, there's reports about Kevin Owens being out with a fractured foot. So,
oh god,
yeah.
Best of luck to Kevin if that's true.
Yeah, it's like WrestleMania 32 all over again. So many injuries.
But I'm actually, you know what? I'm positive though about the creative direction of WWE this time. I don't think it's going to be a repeat of 32. I think that this could be a very much a better WrestleMania than. I know there's a lot of injuries at the moment, but look, I know for a fact that the World Heavyweight Championship match is going to be the most interesting match on the card as to who they're going to get.
Yeah.
Are they going to do Seth versus Cody again and then bring in Rock to dethrone Roman Reigns?
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen.
I don't see that. I think they'll do Cody. I think they'll do Cody Roman, and I think it gets confirmed on Raw on SmackDown.
I think he'll finish the story. I think he'll finish the story
because I love Roman Reigns and I love the run he's been on, but it's time. It's time, and
yeah,
and I can see him take a bit of time off, or even they do the WrestleMania 41, which hasn't been confirmed where it is. Obviously, I don't know where it's going to be, but it'll be the first Raw since the Netflix deal.
Yeah, that's true.
So more eyes on the product. I could see that being the match to main event tonight because it doesn't need the title. It doesn't need the title at all. The match builds itself. And for this Mania, I would triple threat for night one. I would have Sami Zayn and Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins.
Ooh.
Triple threat. And I would have Zayn win.
Interesting. I for me, if you're going to do triple threat, I mean, first of all, if you can bring back Broken Dreams for Drew,
Yep.
I think it works now 100%. Nothing against his current theme because it's fantastic.
Yeah.
It worked.
Love the bagpipes.
Yeah.
Love the bagpipes. Up the bagpipes.
Up the bagpipes.
Well, if he doesn't do it, let him use bagpipes at the Mania thing, or maybe do Broken Dreams into bagpipes, whatever you do.
That would be cool. I mean, could you get like a Scottish band or like a Scottish like?
They've done it. They've done it before. They did it. I think at NXT Takeover. I think they did it once.
Yeah. There's potential with that. Obviously, we know Sami Zayn's going to get a massive, massive pop in Philly anyway. We know that Seth Rollins is going to get a massive pop. We know Drew McIntyre's going to get booed almost as worse as Dominic at this point. It's getting that way at the minute, isn't it? But no, so yeah, well, like we were saying, like I say, it's probably going to be War of the Uses at Mania as well. I think, like I said, my boy Jay up the Uses, and let's see if we can get all that trending. And yeah, it's gonna be very, very interesting. And obviously Andrade as well coming back was obviously good. Quite a few good NXT call-ups. Obviously, talk about Carmelo Hayes, talked about Braun Breaker. We had the surprise, in fact, two surprises to be fair. We had two surprises, Pat McAfee and Omos in the Rumble. Now, Omos was a complete shock. I didn't expect him to be in that match. I know he's been doing some house shows, getting back to where he needs to be. And MVP, I've got no doubts about MVP because for me, he's the guy that will take over as the best manager in the business once Paul Heyman retires. I've got no qualms about that. I've seen his promo work in Impact Wrestling. I've seen his promo work before in WWE.
Yeah, New Japan as well. We did some really good stuff there. So
New Japan, he did some decent stuff. My focus, though, was on the Impact Wrestling stuff when he was director of operations and the commissions and stuff like that. And also back in WWE in the first spell, especially when he had that kind of rivalry with Mark Henry and Kofi Kingston with Legacy, Orton, Rhodes, and DiBiase Jr. back on the old Monday Night Raw in the '09 days. So MVP for me, I've got no problem with. Omos, I mean, the guy's what, 7+ foot tall. He weighs 400 odd pounds. He is the next giant in the business. The thing that worries me about Omos is creative direction.
Yeah.
What are they going to do with Omos? Are they going to, because after, with all the stuff around Brock Lesnar at the moment, I wondered whether the plan was Gunter versus Lesnar, because there's reports going around now after the Rumble that we knew for a fact during the reports that Breakker took Lesnar's spot in that Rumble after all the reports started coming out
Yeah.
and all the investigations started coming out. We know Breakker took that spot, and it was supposed to be that Lesnar got eliminated by Dirty Dom, and now it was Bron Breakker.
Yeah.
So are they going to do, and this kind of links back to WrestleMania, because obviously Gunter was in that Rumble for about 30 minutes, and this links back to Omos as well with the surprises. Are they going to do Gunter versus Breakker for the Intercontinental Championship, or are they going to do Gunter versus Omos? Because I guarantee if they do Gunter versus Omos, you have an opportunity with Omos to create a real creative direction for him with MVP as manager. Or do they do Bron Breakker comes up and challenges Gunter for the Intercontinental Championship? Do we see a link here with Omos and Gunter? Is this the start of a new creative direction for the 7-foot giant?
I think it's an interesting one because I think Omos has a place. I think he can be that sort of dominating force, but I want to see him really. I want to see him as sort of a dominating tag team. I could really see him being like a force in the tag team division. I would love to see him team up with someone, maybe just as big or something.
Who would you say?
I don't know. I also want to see him like do a little like tag team with someone a bit high flying.
Could you imagine him with R-Truth?
I don't want to see that happen. I want Omos because I've seen some of the stuff Omos could. I think he could do a really, really good face character. I think he can do something really, really, really. Someone literally who's menacing but gets the job done, but isn't like a heel about it. So I want to see him maybe do so. I always go to Ricochet. I think Ricochet needs a bit of direction. I think him and Omos, because I think him and Braun Strowman did really well as a tag team, and there's no idea when Braun Strowman does come back. So if you want to do something like that, or even if Omos just be a force in that IC title picture, I want to see Braun Breaker though. I think Braun Breaker's a talent. I think he's run his course in NXT. I think we'll talk about Vengeance Day and what could be his final match in NXT with Braun with Baron against Trip Mello Gang. So I can see him go for the IC title. I think there might be an Elimination Chamber or some sort of #1 contender match at Elimination Chamber. I think he's part of it. But I for one cannot wait to see him in the main roster because he is a monster and best spear in the business.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell wrestling's in his blood. We know he's a Steiner son, and he's got a bright future in this game. I mean, what I will say is, and we'll go into this in a future show, I'm sure, at some point, if you're going to do a chamber in Australia, put Bronson Reed in that chamber.
Yeah.
It's just the most perfect decision you could do. And you know what? I'll talk about Bronson Reed, actually, because he was in this Rumble. He lasted nearly 11 minutes, got eliminated by Omos, came in at number 14. And he did have an elimination as well. If I'm looking through, I've got the list here in terms of like who got eliminated by who. Andrade was eliminated by Bronson Reed. So
yeah,
Bronson Reed, I'm loving the direction of. I love the new graphics that he had on Raw.
Yeah.
I think that was just brilliant. It kind of gave me vibes of a modern day King Kong Bundy.
Yeah.
That's the vibe I'm going for. Because King Kong Bundy, I used to, like a while ago, I used to watch like loads of old clips of King Kong Bundy and his matches, including the steel cage match at WrestleMania with Hulk Hogan for the WWE Championship. I mean, that was one of his best matches of his career. And for me, King Kong Bundy, the modern interpretation of King Kong Bundy is Big Bronson Reed. I think he gives me those vibes of those giants, not really in terms of size, in terms of height, but in terms of body, in terms of body build. I mean, I might as well just scream from the rooftops, meat.
Yeah.
Meat.
And I'm sad that I love Pat McAfee on Raw and that, but The only thing I'm sad about is that Wade Barrett doesn't say tsunami now, because when
Yeah.
he won the North American title, beating my guy Johnny Gargano,
Whenever Bronson Reed just does a big splash
Yeah.
now, I'm just gonna go meat.
yeah, I said Gargano about 4 times. I don't even talked about his matches.
Shout out to
But
Tony Gargano if he's listening to this.
yeah, please DM me. Gargano, love the guy. But yeah, just to see him, just to see Reed, and like he obviously got released from NXT. But then he came out and didn't have any doubts about it. Went to New Japan. No one, I don't know if anyone knows, he beat Okada. Like, he
Yeah.
beat Okada in New Japan, and then
He
went
beat
to
the
Derby.
Rainmaker, who's now going
Yeah,
don't know where.
yeah. Don't know if it's at AEW. Don't know if it's Derby. Would love to see him in Derby. To be honest,
I would like to see
Yeah.
him part of the Shinsuke Nakamura story. I want
Yeah.
him, Okada, and I want to see someone maybe come up from NXT or someone like
Yeah,
maybe a Tozawa heel turn. Tozawa,
yeah,
Nakamura, and
yeah,
Okada to form a chaos type stable in WWE. Don't get me wrong, I love Tozawa's comedy stuff right now. The
yeah,
truffle shuffle. I love
yeah,
that. I love it to bits. But I think maybe at some point the time will come when it's like remember James Storm in Impact with the Revolution stable, with
yeah,
Abyss, with Manic, with Shearer, and they tried to recruit the Wolves as well. In fact, they
yeah,
tried to recruit Davey, I think it was, Davey Richards. I would love a Revolution type stable themed around chaos. And what they're doing with Nakamura at the minute with the graphics, etc., I would love to see a dominating faction with Japanese and Asian superstars.
yeah,
Somewhat Nakamura, Okada, Tozawa. I can't really think of any more off the top of my head, but I think
yeah,
there's some potential there with that.
yeah.
But yeah, we were talking about. Sorry, we're going off topic
Yeah,
again.
no worries.
Bronson Reed beating Okada.
But what I mean, right, is that I want to, like you say, going off what you said, right? Tozawa, if you haven't seen some of the stuff, if you Okada, you might have heard about him in passing. If you haven't seen him in action, right? Watch Okada versus Omega at Dominion. It was a 2 out of 3 falls match. That's about an hour. It's about 7-star match, 6-star match, or something stupid. But it is the best match I've ever seen. And
Mate.
to see someone like Okada come here, and I want to see this faction where they don't, like, especially with Tozawa. He's an amazing wrestler, and same with Nakamura. And if you don't know the sort of stuff Nakamura did before he came to Derby, there's also a brilliant recap of his faction he formed called Chaos. It's on New Japan's channel. If you put the recount Chaos, there's like an 8-part, 7-part documentary
I have
on
some
how
massive feuds.
yeah. And to just see what Okada and that did before, and how he came to New Japan and what he did afterwards. So to see what he did, to see that, if you want to have a look at what Nakamura did before he came to Derby, but like, I mean, if we can get a stable like that, or even to have Nakamura Okada in WWE would be insane. Even if Okada wants to and will fit him straight in there, especially with the CM Punk news, could even put them there with Seth Rollins, create a dream match at WrestleMania. That could even cause, yeah, that would be chaos. But yeah, Bronson
Yeah,
Reed, I want to see him in a big match at Chamber. I thought
big
it'd
year
be
for
some
Bronson
gold.
Reed. Big year.
I thought it's unlucky. I thought it would have been Rollins versus Reed if it wasn't for his injury.
Really?
I think they would have done it.
See, for me, I think once Gunter loses the Intercontinental Championship, because it's going to happen at some point, like Reigns will lose his title at some point, I think Bronson Reed should be the next to go, maybe not as long as Gunter, but to have
Yeah,
a long Intercontinental Championship reign. I think he's got the potential to be one of the most dominant big guys as Intercontinental Champion, and has got the opportunity to be, like I said, a modern King Kong Bundy, pretty much.
yeah,
That's what I would do. Obviously, we know that there's talk of Jey Uso maybe being in that Intercontinental picture at the minute, but I think they're just building up for Jey versus Jimmy. I think
yeah.
maybe it's a case of they're doing Intercontinental Championship match on Raw. Jimmy screws him
Cost
over,
him. Yeah,
puts him at the back of the line and things like that. But for me, if Gunther's going to have a match at WrestleMania, it should be him versus Bronson Reed for the Intercontinental Championship. If
Yeah.
they're not going to do Gunther versus Breaker, do Gunther versus Reed.
Yeah.
For me.
The thing is, the dream would, right, be, considering what's happening on Raw at the moment, is Gunther versus Big E. It's not going to happen, unfortunately. Yeah.
So you know what?
Yeah.
For me, I think when Big E comes back, I think they should be setting up for a major. I mean, whether it's SummerSlam, whether it's next year's WrestleMania, I would like to see a 3-on-3, no disqualifications, all out, great, like a Great War type thing. Judgment Day versus New Day.
Yeah, I would love to see it. Obviously, it's as if if Big E's able to compete, like I say.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Or New Day versus Imperium. Or New Day versus Imperium, maybe.
Yeah, but like I say, Big E, I hope you're doing well, mate.
Yeah.
If you are watching this, obviously we'd love you to come back. But obviously, if you don't feel good enough, then fair point. But some of the stuff you're doing now, mate, is brilliant. Some of the stuff I keep seeing him do, love it, man. And like I say, I hope you for the best, mate. But
he's an ambassador. He's an absolute ambassador for that company. He's an ambassador for professional wrestling, and obviously we wish him all the best. 100%. He's an inspiration, man. Real inspiration. Right then, let's move on during this Rumble then. Obviously, there's one more main thing to kind of talk about. Obviously, we saw the return of Sami Zayn. We saw the R-Truth. Again, we've got to talk about R-Truth again, man. I'm kind of bummed that we didn't sort of fit this scene when we talked about the Women's Royal Rumble, but he came in the men's one, got JD eliminated. And then we finally saw the priest turn on R-Truth, which kind of hurt me. I think they're definitely building up to Judgment Day versus Awesome Truth. Whether they split the titles or not is still anyone's guess at this point. But I think definitely at least one of the titles. I think they'll keep the title reign on Judgment Day until WrestleMania, and I think R-Truth and The Miz will take it off him. I think R-Truth. I've got a gut feeling. I don't know what you're thinking here. Before we go on about the end of the Rumble between Punk and Rhodes, I think they're going to do a mad R-Truth fire promo against Judgment Day. I think he's finally going to realize about Judgment Day. He's going to cut one of the best promos of his career, and it's going to bring out his more serious side. And he's going to, I think R-Truth and Miz are both going to cut a mate. I mean, I knew for a fact, and if Miz is watching this as well, I want him to hear this from my lips. I'm pretty sure you might agree with this. The Miz is arguably the best promo guy in the business right now.
Oh yeah, like
he cuts a promo like there's no tomorrow, and he's clearly worked at least a decade to work get to being one of the best in the business for it. I think him and R-Truth will cut a fire promo on Judgment Day ahead of WrestleMania. I think that should be the direction for WrestleMania for them. I think it should be Balor and Priest versus Miz and Truth, and then if Priest wants to try and cash in at WrestleMania, so be it. Or maybe he waits until after WrestleMania. Maybe it's a case of Judgment Day loses the tag titles, but then Priest goes against Finn Balor's wishes and cashes in on Rollins, so Rollins can fully recover from his injury.
Yeah, I would really want to see a storyline with Damian where he doesn't cash it in until Money in the Bank. Maybe do the full year. Maybe do like a storyline. There's done it a couple of times in the WWE games, but where he's got like a deadline and he's got to cash it in time, which would be a fun one to do.
But if you use that triple threat idea that you had there with Sammy, Drew, and Seth, they could cash it in on Seth at the end of that match at WrestleMania, and then it would set up a feud that's been brewing for a few weeks now, and that's Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre, like a heel versus heel feud.
Yeah,
which...
I hope that can happen. Just depends, obviously. I'm not going to. We don't know if this is completely concrete. But there has been reports that Drew's contract is up after WrestleMania.
I want to see him sign a new one. I think the direction he's going in at the minute, I want him to sign a new one.
Yeah, I think this is I would love him to. They have to, and I love Drew McIntyre. Like the pop when he won the Rumble in 2020, he deserves a title push
in front of a crowd as well.
Yeah, I no, to be honest, the one I would love would be a hellacious match between them three, right?
Yeah,
McIntyre wins, finally gets the title. His dream of winning the title at WrestleMania.
And then
And
Priest
then
cashes
Priest
in.
catches in.
Yeah, I've got the same idea. And then you have this Priest McIntyre heel via heel feud, which, people who don't watch wrestling a lot might not get a bad guy versus bad guy feud, but you've got the potential to do an amazing bad guy versus bad guy feud because the crowd will probably choose Priest in this instant. And it could be the beginning of a Priest face turn, separating himself from the Judgment Day. See,
and then you do Balor Priest.
Again, this is what we love about wrestling, right? And this is what I'm loving about this conversation between me and you, right? We're literally planting these stories and seeing what could unfold after that. And we're literally saying, right, Rollins, Zayn, McIntyre in WrestleMania. McIntyre wins the title from Rollins. Rollins recovers from his injury fully. McIntyre gets cashing on by Priest. Then it's Priest McIntyre. Then it turns into a Priest Balor feud. And it's like this overlapping one after the other after the other.
Yeah.
And that's what we love, isn't it?
Man, just to see that happen would be insane. Like, I mean, I'm a massive, like I say, I like to plan these sort of things and see what happens. But yeah, to see, I like to do that. I like to sort of fantasy book and like, all this will happen. All this could happen.
Yeah. I play Journey to Wrestling a lot of times online. There's a great fantasy booker website called Journey to Wrestling. Shout out to them. They do amazing work, and there's like millions of scenarios to play as. So you've got like WWE, AEW, TNA, Ring of Honor, Major League Wrestling. You've got British stuff. They've got different generation stuff. There's even a scenario for 1900s wrestling. So there's like all these like vintage wrestlers from the 1900s, and you get to run like a 1900s promotion. Like they do so much stuff past, present, and future. It's fantastic.
We say Journey to Wrestling.
Yeah. Journey to
Wrestling.
I'll check
that out afterwards. That looks quite fun.
I think it's called Journey to Wrestling. No, it's Journey of Wrestling. Sorry,
okay.
Journey of Wrestling. JOW. It is fantastic. The characters look like little mini Minecraft figures, but they're just fantastic. Yeah. Speaking of fantasy booking, Cody Rhodes back to back against Punk in the final two. And what a final two that was, by the way. The one-on-one between Rhodes and Punk leading up to the elimination was fantastic.
Yeah.
And the fact that Punk thought through that with an injury that's going to keep him out until after WrestleMania is just shows that I know there's people in WWE that have had past problems with Punk and whatever and stuff like that. But we cannot deny CM Punk is a legitimate badass. He's a legitimate superstar. And that moment at the end when he signaled for the end and throwing him out, and he says to that camera, like he's not going to after 10
I'm not
years,
losing to Dusty's kid.
I'm not losing to Dusty's kid. And that line, and to be fair, when he said that, and by the way, my pick to win the Rumbles were Bayley and Punk, so I got 1 out of 2 right.
Same for me as well.
And as soon as he said that line, I was like, he's not going to win it. Cody's going to have that fire, and he's going to win it. But I'm glad for Cody. If Cody's watching this, I'm a massive fan of what that guy's doing right now because he's taken the mantle of like a John Cena babyface in terms of his promos,
the company and things like that.
Yeah, and I think surely it's gonna happen. Like I can't remember if I got praise for this online or if I got some stick for it, but I said, in fact, actually, no, I said this to Bully Ray on Twitter, and I think he liked it, actually. I said on Twitter the night after WrestleMania last year, I said, Cody, like, people don't be mad because this is just the Cena Rock situation. This is a bump in the road. This is Cody doesn't finish the story this year, but he finishes it at the 40th WrestleMania. I said it's going to happen the next year. People don't overreact. It's going to happen next year. Yeah. This year was just all about Reigns and Hollywood and that connection again. And we know the connection between Roman Reigns and Hollywood. We know there's been a connection for a while now. But that was all about Roman Reigns winning in his potential future ground, which is Hollywood. And I think Roman Reigns will kill it in Hollywood, by the way.
Yeah.
This is all about Reigns winning in his future stomping ground, which is Hollywood. Next year's WrestleMania, which is this year's WrestleMania 40, this is about Cody finishing that story at the second attempt. I think Bully Ray liked that reply, actually. So shout out to Bully Ray if he did. But
I was saying
Cody's going to finish the story this year.
Cody, I mean, you can't think of anyone else who's a servant to the company as Cody Rhodes at the moment.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff he does outside, like I've seen some stuff like shout out the wrestling club, because something they do in America is flipping
Shout out to
amazing.
the wrestling club. They are brilliant. I
Yeah,
love
and
what they do.
I wish they had that in the UK, because to have people like that, because you look at my
I'm trying to
school,
get in
like,
touch with it to see if we can do something.
yeah, because obviously I'm leaving school this year, so I don't have the privilege, but to be able to, like, you know, do something for these kids, and them have like a lifelong dream, and that to have the opportunity to meet, like, they've met Keith Lee, they've met Swerve Strickland, Swerve Strickland as well, because he's a legend. And I cannot wait to see that guy at Wembley Stadium this year. Fingers crossed
Oh,
he'll still be okay. Fingers crossed
the,
he doesn't get injured.
the pop will be amazing at
Oh
Wembley.
yeah,
Pop.
that hope. Oh, the dream would be Swerve versus Will Ospreay. That would be a dream.
That would be an insane match, because you imagine the entrances as well. Ospreay will do a badass entrance.
Yeah,
Prince Nana will come
yeah,
out and do his little dance and his little swerve dance. And I don't call him Prince Nana or Prince Nana. I call him
yeah,
Prince Nana because of LA
yeah,
Knight. But yeah, LA Knight, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be that's going to be a big pop for Swerve in
yeah.
Wembley,
And I mean,
110%.
like like, I mean, this year looks like it's going to be an incredible year, not just for WWE, not just for AEW, not just for TNA, New Japan, but as a whole of wrestling. It's just going to be a brilliant year, and I for one can't wait. But yeah, like I said, Cody Rhodes, one of the best in the business, and some of the stuff he does is brilliant. And this year at Philadelphia, which is a bit more known, a bit less than Hollywood, is sort of a hard-working city with Rocky Balboa, that sort of thing. It's somewhere where we could obviously see him win. I think we see something happen there, and then I think we go to some brilliant feuds to go off after Cody. You've got Punk when he returns. I think that'd be an incredible feud. I think maybe that could be main event of WrestleMania 41 if you're gonna do it.
Potentially.
I think, because I don't know if Cody's gonna have a massive run with a belt. I don't know if it's gonna be that long, considering how long Roman's was.
I think so. You know what? I think so. It won't be too long, but
I think it'll be
think
about 6 months. 6 months maybe. But
maybe longer. Maybe longer. I think he holds
Yeah.
on to it. In my opinion, I think he holds on to it till the next WrestleMania.
Yeah. I think that. I think there's opportunities, Usos. I think you've got maybe some of the NXT talent like Carmelo Hayes. I would love to see that match. Trick Williams, Bron Breakker,
Damian Priest again. I think that feud
Priest.
could be fantastic if they
Yeah.
split him off from Judgment Day at that point.
I mean, you just cannot wait to see that. Like, yeah,
Andrade.
Yeah.
He's
Derby
on
is
Raw. Cody
so
Rhodes.
hot right now. The
Yeah.
potential of your Okadas, if he does for it to come to WWE.
Nakamura title feud is like a part two. I don't think that story ever really got finished, in my opinion. I think that was just like a major Raw match, and that was kind of it. I kind of want the Rose Nakamura story to continue after he beats Roman. I kind of want Nakamura to move to SmackDown and kind of have this kind of feud with Cody Rhodes for the title, and sort of take place in numerous different types of matches for different pay-per-views, etc.
Yeah, definitely, and I think it's going to happen. I think we'll see a lot of good matches, and we'll have a bit more of a workhorse belt. I think with SmackDown, I think you'll see it defended on SmackDown. I think you see it defended main event of pay-per-views. I think there's going to have to be a big contrast with Roman Reigns, obviously, with him not defending it as much. And fair play to him, he's got the deals, he's got the opportunity, and I wouldn't be surprised if once he drops the title, he does a few films, because I think he's got the potential to do exactly what his cousin does, and to see. And one, I cannot wait. The Rock. I know. There's another film that he's coming out soon, like a biopic. or mark her in the UFC, which again I cannot wait to see because it shows a bit more of a different side of the Rock, which I'll be excited to see. And obviously, congrats to the Rock about being a TKO member now,
Yes.
which is brilliant. And obviously,
I'm good
congrats to
about the WWE Network, though. I'm good because I
yeah,
kind of like the WWE Network, but I
yeah,
do get the reasons behind the Netflix deal. I think
yeah,
it would be as long as it's not like an extra charge on top of the Netflix
yeah,
charge, I'd be all for it. I
yeah,
just don't know about that part of it yet.
yeah. And also, congrats to Rock's daughter as well, being NXT general manager. Obviously, she's done some really good business. I think she's doing a really good job at the moment. And we'll see talk about more about Vengeance Day in a
Oh,
bit. But yeah,
Ava Rain's got so much potential,
yeah,
so much
yeah.
potential.
But yeah, definitely. And I think Cody's going to be the best in the business. I think I want to see him win the title and loads of feuds and things. And yeah, I think he's a blueprint of build, do it yourself.
Yeah.
To quote DIY, do it yourself. And it's the same with him and Drew McIntyre. Like when the last time they had a one-on-one match, interestingly, was in WCPW
Mm,
in 2017. Shout out WCW, by the way, because that was my first foray in independent wrestling, and it's the reason
yeah.
why Will Ospreay, and that is one of the reasons why he's one of my favorite wrestlers. So, to see them two now in a WWE ring, after considering they're both releases from the company, and potentially that could be a massive feud going forward, it's brilliant. And yeah, like I say, Drew McIntyre's put himself as a massive heel, which we'll talk about just in a moment, obviously, when we go to Raw. So
Yeah, I mean, let's get straight on to Raw. I mean, CM Punk comes with this horrific announcement that he's out for WrestleMania. I mean, that's kind of scuppered the plans, hasn't it? I mean,
yeah,
it was gutting to hear that. But then WWE used that as an opportunity to push someone into a major heel spot, and that is Drew McIntyre. And I'll say this straight right now. If WWE, and I know for a fact WWE is smart about this, please sign Drew McIntyre on a long-term contract because there's reports that his contract is up after WrestleMania. Please let this not be the last time we see McIntyre. Let's see him on a new contract. Let's see him continue to do the work because you've got potential. And to be fair, it'll be a very, very unsmart thing to do, especially with the potential feuds that could come out of that World Heavyweight Championship match at WrestleMania.
yeah,
I mean, Drew's potentially got the opportunity to be in a main event in the night of WrestleMania, night 1 or 2. So you've got too many possibilities here to let him go, in my personal opinion. I think you've got too many possibilities to let him go after WrestleMania. I think they'll sign him. I think he'll sign a new contract. Obviously, it depends what he wants to do and things like that, but I
yeah,
think he'll sign a new contract. But what they did on Raw with that CM Punk injury and how they used that as an opportunity to bring some major heat onto McIntyre, I just think it was one of the smartest things they've done on Raw in a long time.
yeah. I think that's a way of doing it. They did the same for Seth with Cody. I think they did the same sort of thing. That they used him, and obviously he went on to do some stuff with Riddle, which ended up doing all right. And I think it ended up with that massive promo, obviously, that sort of build up a bit like a UFC promo, which did quite well. And I think, yeah, I think we CM Punk. It's sad to see him because I would love to see him main event at WrestleMania at one point, and let's hope it's going to be next year now. But
Hopefully.
Drew McIntyre is someone that deserves something, and some of the stuff I saw him on Twitter yesterday, he did the old flash, the old grunt gusting in front of the grave of Arrow. That was funny. He used the "I pray for times like this" with the injury meme. So
He's playing into that heel role so well, isn't
yeah,
he?
yeah, he's so comfortable with it. That's why. Yeah, I mean, he's a good face when he carried the company, but
Yeah.
during those terrible COVID times, but he's so much better as a Scottish psychopath. He's
Oh,
so much better.
we're just missing that one thing
Yeah,
now. We're missing that one thing, and that is broken dreams.
yeah.
We're
And
just missing
also,
broken dreams.
what I love about this is that yes, he's a heel, but he has every right to be pissed.
Mm.
Like,
It's not exactly his fault. It's like he's a heel without him being his fault.
yeah, like a lot of the time. This is what I love. Sometimes that this is what he's a heel characters I love is they're right. They're just being a dick about it. So, like, that's what you want, really. That's what I like. Is that
Yeah.
you have a reason why you like them to do that, but they're just being a dick. But it's fine. It's something I love.
Yeah, I think Drew's just playing this different kind of heel role superbly, where it's actually not his fault, but he
Yeah.
is just letting you know at every opportunity what's happened to him and why he's acting this way. That's the thing about this one, which I love.
Yeah.
When we look at some of the other things on Raw, I mean, what were your sort of other favorite moments on Raw?
Again, sorry to say it for probably about 7th time, but DIY versus Judgment Day, I think that's a brilliant match, especially with no commercial break. I think that really, really, really helped.
Yeah.
I think that was brilliant. I think having that Sami Zayn McIntyre match at the end of the night was brilliant. I think
McAfee's reaction when Zayn
yeah,
got frisbeed and McIntyre's like, I hope you're not talking trash about me. Is
yeah,
that setting up a McIntyre-McAfee segment at
yeah,
some point in the next couple of weeks?
maybe you never know, but like, yeah, just to see that happen. Obviously the fallout, which is going to happen on SmackDown about the Fatal 4-Way and KO
Mm,
versus Logan Paul, which she's going to have a side note on it with the KO Logan Paul match. Hope Logan's okay because it looked like in the interview that he might have been concussed. I
mm,
hope you're okay, mate. I understand why, because it was a looked like a good match. He might have accidentally taken a brass knuckle to the face. So
yeah.
unlucky, not unlucky, but I hope he's okay, and I hope he gets better.
I thought the Intercontinental Championship match was good as well.
On Raw, yeah, I think it's a good storyline. It shows that they're overpowered, which for me has that faint hope it could be Big E.
Mm,
I'm gonna keep myself lit. I'm not gonna overexcite myself by the hope of Big E. Um,
yeah. I'm not holding
so
out many expectations. I'm just letting him sort of come back in his own time, really.
yeah, I cannot wait. So it'd be fun.
And then we had the Rhea Ripley situation. Is
Yeah,
Nia Jax forcing herself into this title picture? Is it going to be a case of Nia Jax versus Jade Cargill at WrestleMania, and then
they
Bianca
might do
versus
that. Yeah,
Jade? Maybe Bianca versus Jade the next WrestleMania, but focus this WrestleMania on Nia Jax trying to get revenge on
yeah,
Jade Cargill for the Royal Rumble
yeah.
situation,
Because I
and then
think
maybe Bianca takes a
yeah,
WrestleMania off.
because I think Jax Rhea's gonna be Chamber.
Yeah. Or maybe they do Jax versus Lynch. I don't
Yeah,
thing is they're building towards Lynch Ripley, but I still have this gut feeling about Liv Morgan.
yeah,
So maybe
maybe.
maybe they do Lynch versus Jax on one night and they
Yeah,
do Cargill versus Belair on another night.
yeah. You never know, and they're probably gonna do. I could see them bringing the showcase matches back. I
And
could
that could be
see
the
them.
women's showcase match, maybe.
Yeah, maybe it's a singles match. Like I said, I want both showcase matches to be number one contenders because it has that little bit more of a bite to the
Yeah.
matches. But yeah,
Because
I
they
think
can do
Jax
Nia
Rip. Yeah,
versus I was gonna say because you can
yeah,
do Nia versus Becky for Rhea's title at the next pay-per-view, and then they can do Bayley versus EO for the SmackDown one. Bayley versus
but yeah,
EO,
Bailey.
and
Yeah,
then you can have Cargill versus Belair, and the winner takes on the winner of
yeah,
that at the next pay per view as well.
yeah. And then also, I think Nia versus Rhea Ripley's going to be taking place, I believe, in Elimination Chamber.
That would be good.
Which I know people might not like this, but it's probably going to main event. Considering Rhea's,
I wouldn't be surprised with being Rhea Ripley from Australia, isn't it?
yeah, the pop it would have would be brilliant. So
Mm.
see that, and then yeah, it was a good show. It's a good 3 hours. It does take a bit of a slog to watch it sometimes, but it has got better recently. And yeah, then we went on to NXT, which was a very, very good show in my opinion.
Very good.
Good go
Very
home
good
before
show.
Vengeance Day.
Yeah, definitely building up towards that. There was definitely some highlight moments from NXT. I mean, obviously Chase U getting shaved by JC of all people. I mean, that was kind of a nice fun segment.
Yeah,
I kind of got not emotional, but I kind of sort of looked at the tribute video for Chase University and thought, man, how good did they do that character and how good did they do
yeah,
that gimmick over a few years? And it's like, what's going to happen now?
yeah.
Is JC just saving this university to really rip it apart? What's going to
Yeah,
happen?
I can see her tweaking it and making it a bit more villainous, and I'm quite excited to see how this goes. I think it's brilliant, and I think I'm really excited about Chase U, and I think some of the stuff they've done before has been brilliant. I think since Duke's been in there, I think it's got even better.
Yeah.
I think this little tweak with Thea's character, I think, it's done really well since
Mm.
JC Jane's been there.
Something brewing between Thea and Lexis King, perhaps.
Nah, I don't. I think it's here and Osborne. I think, by the way, Osborne is such a good wrestler. He's such a good young wrestler. Might be a bit biased because he's also English. Thanks, guys. But brilliant wrestler, and he does a brilliant shooting star press. So yeah, I think NXT also was brilliant. I think LWO versus Trick Mellow Gang was a brilliant start to the show.
Mm.
Um,
Obafemi.
Obafemi's a beast.
Let's talk Obafemi, the NXT North American champion. How much potential has that guy got? Because I think it is infinite right now.
Yeah, because at the moment he has the potential, and he already shown he can do everything. He's a
Do you think
beast in the
Obafemi
ring.
needs a manager, though? Do you think he maybe needs a
He's
manager?
good on the mic. I don't think he's decent on the mic. I think
I don't know. It's nothing against his mic skills or anything
yeah,
like that. But do you think that it's kind of like a Brock Lesnar Paul Heyman thing here, where Brock Lesnar's improved in his promos, but still had Paul Heyman at one point? Do you
yeah.
think it could be something like that, maybe, where he
I don't
sort of
think.
does his talking but needs
I
a
just
manager as well?
I just don't think he does. I think he's perfect as he is. I
Mm.
think he stays in NXT for a little while. Like I mean, he's the first person to be signed using the Next in Line program to win a title. So
Yeah,
brilliant to him. I think he's got a bright future in WWE, and I think we could see him in the main roster in a couple of years, and I think he could be a future world champion.
I really hope they don't. If he comes to the main roster in a few years' time, I really hope he doesn't get buried. I think he's got the
No,
potential to be a the mid card champion like your Intercontinental, United States, etc. Potential to go further than that.
yeah,
I think he's got the possibility of doing that. I think
yeah,
it'd be a shame if he got buried in a few years because I think he's worth it.
yeah,
Um, Finally, then, obviously, NXT Vengeance Day. We've been going for nearly about an hour, 15 minutes, so we might as well wrap this up with the last thing on the agenda, and that is NXT Vengeance Day. Now, there's only 6 matches confirmed at the moment, which I think will probably be the 6 going forward into the pay-per-view.
yeah,
Corbin and Breaker versus Trick Mellow Gang in the finals to receive a future NXT Tag Team title shot in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. I reckon the turn happens there.
yeah,
Or they win and Mello just walks off. Because if we look further down the card, we've obviously got Valkyria versus Roxanne Perez for the women's title, Femi
yeah,
versus Dragon Lee, the family versus OTM in 6-person mixed tag, Dijak versus Gacy that was recently announced in an ODQ. But then we have the NXT title, Trick versus Dragunov, and I can imagine what's going to happen already. And whether
yeah,
Carmelo wants to come out and deny this, it's up to him. I think Corbin and Breaker win. I think that Mello walks off from Trick, and I think he betrays Trick in the title match.
yeah. I think so, and I think
And they
it's
take their feud to the main
yeah,
roster.
yeah. Well, I think they blow it off, stand and deliver, both go separate ways. But I think they're brilliant, and I think the card is really stacked. I think I love the whole stuff to do with Trip Mellow Gang, but the match I'm actually quite excited about is the women's title match. I think they've built it off brilliantly, and I'm gonna be honest, my favourite story at the moment is Live Valkyria and Tatum Paxley. I love this storyline at the moment. And I just love last week when when she said like, "Can we all contact Live Valkyria?" And everyone on Twitter is like, "Can you like Instagram?" And then
The
and
fact
then
they
and
use
then
social media as a power tool to power this storyline up
yeah,
another level is
yeah.
absolutely genius.
I think as I could see that being the stand and deliver match as well.
I think so. I think
Paxley,
Paxley costs
Valkyria,
Valkyria.
yeah. And I think it's brilliant. And like I say, well done for using social media because I think social media is a really, really good tool now in wrestling. And I think, especially in NXT, they use it brilliantly.
Oh,
Yeah,
I could literally see that title match in the women's title match being Valkyrie retains, Perez goes to the main roster, or potentially waits till stand and deliver.
yeah,
Um, and I could literally see the turn happening after Valkyria retains the title, and that sets up NXT stand and deliver.
yeah. And I think there's so many opportunities. Stand Deliver looks like it's going to be a brilliant show. And for us Brits, it's a great show because it's on at like 7 p.m, so we don't have to stay up for ages. And it's a
Yeah,
good warm up, great show before the before first night of WrestleMania, which is going to be a slog until we then have to wake up for the second night, which is going to be a pain. But at least the show after Backlash is in Paris. That's a good
yeah,
thing, right? Is that in the UK, right? In 2024, there's going to be at least 4 shows where we don't have to stay up till God knows in the morning.
yeah.
You got
Backlash and the Bash in
yeah,
Berlin, especially.
yeah,
I mean, I'm
and
I'm so
yeah,
looking forward to that.
and then you obviously got the 2 Saudi shows as well. So
Australia, do you? Because obviously
so yeah, at that I think it's 11 a.m.
that could be good. You know
Yeah,
what? I'm going to set my alarm for 9 just
it's
to
a
be
good
on the safe side.
pre-match good watch before Steve, because Stevens are at home that day. So
Mm,
anyone doesn't know, if you don't watch Look Sport Media, you don't know. I'm a Stevenage fan, so we're at home that day. So good pre-match watch before we watch Stevenage. So it worked out a good time for us. Unlucky for the US, they have to fill our usual wrath. I think at certain
yeah,
places
I'm a,
it's so
I'm a Don,
predictable.
I'm a Doncaster Rovers fan, so I
Yeah,
get to watch the Elimination Chamber, and then I might end up seeing us lose again. But there we go.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, overall, then when we sort of look at the Rumble, Raw, NXT, obviously SmackDown's coming up on Friday night. Um, very interesting week this week for the WWE in terms of shows. Very
yeah,
interesting week.
yeah. Obviously, last week was a bit of a week. Obviously, with obviously the Netflix deal, with The Rock, and obviously the terrible Vince McMahon stuff that came out. And like I
Yeah,
say,
no comment.
I no comment on it, but I hope the victim is doing all right, and I send a
Yeah,
best wish. Me and Aaron will send our best wishes to her, and I hope she's doing well.
yeah.
But yeah, whatever that happens, what happens there, we'll see. We will talk about if there's anything future that happens, if obviously if it's concrete and all the court stuff and if it's all correct. But yeah,
Yeah, we we we
it was
we refuse to
yeah,
speculate on anything to do with the situation at the
yeah,
moment. We just want to sort of leave it as it is until more stuff from the investigation
yeah,
comes out that's concrete also. And
yeah,
I just want to. I think we've been trying. I think to be fair, we've been trying to avoid talking about the situation tonight
yeah,
because of everything that's been going on. We kind of want to avoid it and sort of, out of respect for the victim, just try and keep it out of the conversation. But obviously, it's a very difficult situation. It was a very shocking report that came out. So, I mean, that what happened there was just unbelievable. And obviously,
yeah,
Vince got relieved of his duties with WWE and with TKO. He's not involved anymore. It's the first time in the history of the company that no McMahon family members are involved now in the
yeah,
company. It's McMahon free for the first time in history, which is
yeah,
just unheard of.
yeah,
So, but in
uh,
terms of the shows itself, I
yeah,
mean, like I said, pretty decent shows this week.
yeah. I think Derby as a whole has been brilliant since 2022. I think pay-per-views haven't really missed. I think they've been all been pretty decent. And yeah, we're going to obviously go into the chamber. We're obviously going to go into WrestleMania. We're obviously going into WrestleMania season, and then some brilliant shows like Backlash and things like that. But I'll be brilliant to see, and well, hopefully we can cover that here. Obviously, we're going to cover a lot of this stuff here, and
We'll
maybe in
try
the
and do this
future,
every Wednesday. We'll try and
yeah,
do this every Wednesday.
yeah, and then even if there might be an opportunity in the future to do live watch-alongs, if you guys would like to see that, of some of the, because obviously it'd be a bit hard for both of us to do some of the shows obviously in America, just due to
Mhm.
time zones and things like that, and might be able to watch it live, but definitely for some of the Saudi shows and the French and the Backlash and Bash
Bash
in
in Berlin.
Berlin, there's an opportunity for maybe doing some live watch-alongs. You can ask us some questions, and maybe
We'll try.
even yeah,
Yeah.
and maybe even if any of us go to wrestling shows, maybe even some vlogs that can go on TikToks and Insta and YouTube, and obviously with Aaron's channel, we can do stuff like All In, maybe even some Rev Pro shows as well, and
Get
and
some
and just
interviews on the
yeah,
channel as well.
yeah, be brilliant to hopefully do some interviews and sort of give you an insight into to what wrestling is, especially in the UK and abroad.
Yeah, absolutely. I said to you off camera, Owen, that I've spoken to someone from the WWE. Brilliant, brilliant people, by the way. And, it'd be wonderful to work with the WWE on any opportunities going forward.
Yeah,
So if the person that I spoke to, you know who you are. I'm not going to disclose that information on here, but I have spoken to someone in the WWE, and you know who you are. If there is an opportunity to do something with the WWE, that'd be amazing. We'll obviously keep growing this show, keep growing this the wrestling sort of content on the channel, to build that relationship with you guys and to build a relationship with these wrestling companies. And yeah, really bright future for the show. Overall, like we said, pretty decent week. Obviously, I mean, we'll hopefully be back here same time next week, reviewing Smackdown on Friday night, Raw, NXT. Obviously, what day is it for next Wednesday? It's the 31st today as we're recording this. The next Wednesday is the 7th, so we will have Stand and Deliver review as well. Vengeance Day review as
yeah,
well. So we've got Vengeance Day, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, previewing the next SmackDown as well.
yeah,
Looking ahead to, of course, the next pay-per-view, which will be the Elimination Chamber. It's gonna be fantastic. It's gonna be a fantastic week next week. But there we go, guys. We've nearly reached an hour and a half, so perfect time to wrap these up. That's probably going to be the length of these podcasts. We're probably going to do them between an hour and a half each week. But there we go. Make sure you do like, comment, subscribe. Obviously, if you are listening to this podcast as well, if we decide to put this on Apple and Spotify as well, we'll try and find some way of doing it. But yeah, if we want to do this on Spotify and Apple as well, then and if you're listening to this, then hope you've enjoyed. Owen, absolute pleasure. Can't wait to be on this journey with you this year, mate. And some good wrestling content coming up, isn't there?
yeah. Like, I mean, it's my first foray into the sort of the wrestling part of podcasting, because I've done a lot of football stuff. But yeah, it's really really exciting to sort of come with you on this journey, or Aaron, and let's hope for some brilliant things coming up this year, and hopefully some brilliant opportunities and some brilliant wrestling.
100,000,000%. Thank you very much, guys, for listening and watching. I am the CHALL. Ta-ra for now.